Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is Tipping Point, and I'm your host, Andrew Potkewitz. We gather here every Thursday at 4 p.m. East Coast time to meet with and chat with industry and thought leaders to try and learn something, have some thoughtful conversations, and pick experienced folks' brains to see where we can learn. So today I'm delighted to have Dhana Kumarasamy, the CEO of Fulcrum Digital, here as our guest. Welcome.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
So there are a lot of areas I'd love to dig in with you on. Before I do that, just for folks out there in the audience, we are live globally out across LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to put those in the chats. They will pop up on my end, and we'll address them as they come up. So thanks very much, and looking forward to engaging there. So good afternoon, Dhana.
Very, very good afternoon, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How was you're based in Chicago?
Yes, the base in Chicago. We are here in Schaumburg. It's about 15 miles west of Chicago Airport. It's a beautiful day here today.
Excellent. I know the summers are short, so I'm hoping that you are getting the most out of the summer.
Oh, yeah, just we're having a good amount of heat now.
Have you always been in Chicago?
No, we have been here for the last 14 years. Before that, I was in the Bay Area for about 5-6 years, and then prior to that, we were in the New Jersey, New York area for about 2.5 years, and then that's kind of like my journey from East Coast to West Coast, now in the Midwest. That's where we are here. But pretty much it's been an interesting journey so far.
Yeah, I was aware of the New Jersey. I did not realize you'd been in the Bay Area. It's actually San Francisco is one city I've yet to go to in life, and everyone raves about it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful city. I really love the city, the Bay Area. Though I was in the East Bay side of it's about 15-20 miles from San Francisco downtown. But Fulcrum used to have a downtown San Francisco office. I was the one who set up the center in the Market Street. So it was a great journey over there. I think I loved the Bay Area, the vibe, the tech. It was really enjoyed our time over there.
All right, good to hear it. So there are a lot of topics I want to dig in on, in particular, early stage growth, scaling, challenges, successes. Definitely want to dig into what the digital landscape looks like today. I know sort of post-COVID has become ubiquitous, but it's a real thing, sort of pre and post-COVID landscape. But I guess maybe we'll dig in on, you've been with Fulcrum for how many years now?
It's over 20 years now. So I joined in 2002. It's close to over 20 plus years. It's going to be 21 years now, completing 21 years. It's been a great journey.
And I mean, that is, and I don't want to undersell this, that is remarkable. Being with certainly on the systems integration agency, tech development side of things, that is easily 5 or 6 lifetimes in tech, right? When we look at sort of the churn and folks jumping company to company, in particular over the past 3 to 4 years, you've certainly had a professional journey since joining and now, being global CEO of Fulcrum. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of where you started, what role you joined in, and how large the company was and what that looked like, and then we'll sort of talk through what that growth looked like.
Yeah, sure. You're just refreshing a lot of my good memories there, Andrew. So when I joined, it's about 21 years ago. The company was relatively very small, until a 10-people team, the single-digit strength, and focused on building a platform and then product. And then net.com, boom and bust was there. So we transitioned to more the IT services, and that is the time that I joined Fulcrum. And I joined as an engineer, focused on portal content collaboration, come with more of IBM, WebSphere, Lotus Notes, and more of the technology, HTML, more internet technology background at that point of time. So focused on building some large-scale applications, customer-facing, internal employee-facing portals, and then content management system. That's been our forte for the first couple of years. We focused on turnkey engagements. We go to a customer who has like kind of a player on the specific technology, and take a specific set of like use cases or business problems, and build solutions, and put a team together and then execute it over here in the US, predominantly from our Fanwood, New Jersey. That's where like we started. So that is where like most of our engineers were. I was part of that team. And then later we started like expanding ourselves, like taking a little much larger engagements, like we're the first one to build web billing system for property and casualty insurance company in the Bay Area. So that's one reason I moved from New Jersey to the Bay Area and set up this whole the engineering team over there. So then we expanded ourselves from like turnkey to the large, the business applications, portal content. Then we started like expanding ourselves. Like when you're doing a portal content and collaboration, obviously you need to look at it all type of like users. It could be employees, it could be agents, it could be your third party users. So various different type of like users are coming into a system that you're building, but this is you won't be able to train them. Like it's not like an internal team. You call them for like conference room and like go for a workshops and train the people in applications. These are the like some of the applications used by like millions of users. Obviously, you won't be able to go and train them. Instead, it will be more intuitive. It should be like self-learning, that people are able to go through the application, self-service portals, and service desks and things like that. So it's not something like you'll be able to train. So the user experience, getting into the user's mindset. So it brought like the building those user experience, and then the ability to like bring this creative type of like mindset coming in. So that's a kind of like part of our digital journey. It's not just you're building in a portal, but you're bringing more the user experience into that. Then we later expanded into mobile. Mobile was just started picking up in '06 and '07 in that point of time. So people like to like see the same applications or solutions like on their mobile device. So that's where we expanded into mobility. So as the company is growing, personally I also like started learning so many different ways of so many different things. Or being an engineer, then you start like leading the set of teams. Then you learn the people management, team management skills. Then of course, like we are a technology player. We need to put all the architecture, the design, and then solutions together. So eventually, like grew into architecture and the solution side. That's still one of my passion. Building solutions. Finding a solution for a problem. And then I moved into like more solutioning, then setting up the delivery engineering team and the solution engineering team. And then that's a time, it's a kind of a tipping point for Fulcrum as well, because pretty much we've been in the US growing within the
And thank you for using the name of our vidcast in your dialogue, because it is a tipping point.
tipping point. So that is the time that we looked at it, how do you like expand ourselves, like so that we decided, okay, why don't we like go and expand to the similar market like in the UK. So we expanded ourselves in the UK. And that is also the time like Fulcrum is being at that time it was growing very rapidly. And then like in any size of a company, when you started expanding, you need to like have more people. We need to have a like a global footprint. Like people are asking for, our customers are asking for, hey, do you have a 24/7, your ability to like you're good, you're building it, but who's going to managing it? Early days we don't manage it. We kind of like build solution, hand over to their customers, or their customers like third party choices. So that is how like we used to be. Then we started expanding. Okay, when you're building something, we also need to like make sure that you enhance, you can support them, that solution, like to support their business challenges and the changes. So then that's the time we expanded into our India delivery center. I'm responsible for setting up the first delivery team back in Mumbai. And interestingly, one of a good colleague of mine, we used to work together and be part of multiple project delivery together. So he decided to go back to India. Then I set up the team under him in Mumbai, and then that's been like he's still with us. Interestingly, I think that's one good thing about Fulcrum. There are a lot of folks used to early stage engineering team. They all taken a multiple different roles within Fulcrum. They continue to support our growth. So that's where we started expanding into global delivery. So global delivery organization comes along with a lot of operational challenges and experience, and that's where I learned quite a lot about the cross-border operating teams, experience of managing different culture. How do you bring people together, communication, the tooling. So this is I'm talking about all within the delivery organization. Around the same time, also expanded more into a client services side of it. As you go on, learn more and more things, and start executing engagement. Your customers start staying with us, ensure that we stay with our customer for long term. That's one of our founding principle or culture. We go all the way out to retain our customers, and the same applicable for our team members as well. The same principle that we use, and that is where I learned. I started expanding more into a managing customers. So you have a delivery, you have a solution, pre-sales support, and then client services, customer experience team. So kind of managing all the operational aspect of our company, and of course along with that infrastructure and building their practices, which I have an experience of doing it with the portal content collaboration. We expanded more into mobility. So I'll come to that later, how we built some of the horizontal, because it's very important for our growth. But that's kind of the journey in the last 22 years, given a foundation from engineering, team management, global operations, the sales exposure, customer experience, and then become the chief operating officer for over a period of 5+ years. Then I took over the CEO's role 4 years back from the founder.
So it's quite the journey, and as I noted, the longevity there, and I joined the company where here I joined Fulcrum about a year and a half ago on the commerce side of things, and have expanded now into the Fulcrum side. And one of the things that I've really drew me to it and I admired was having conversations with folks who have been around for 8, 10, 12, 15, 17, 20 years, which in my let's say decade of experience in this space is relatively unheard of in the services side of things for a number of reasons. I come from a retail and customer service background, and I was with the Home Depot for about 9 years. And my favorite thing about that company is the stress on internal growth, that it is such a core philosophy and pillar of that company, which has helped make it as successful as it's been. I'm curious, how big a role has your journey through the various roles you've had within Fulcrum? How important has that been for you as a leader within the company, having been sort of in the trenches along the way and understanding each of the sort of levers that you can pull?
Absolutely, absolutely. I worked all the great companies before joining Fulcrum. About over 7-8 years professional experience in various different regions before joining Fulcrum. One of the things, people do ask this questions, what really made you to stay for this long, because when I moved from some of the bigger names to Fulcrum, the Fulcrum, as I mentioned, it's a small startup, kind of the garage startup type of organization at that moment. But one thing is about the vision, and then even though we were very small, and what we really wanted to be, and then other purpose, and then the great intention and belief in what we are today. We talk about the purpose, and then even those days, we do talk about it. Maybe like, we refined it over a period of time as you like, as you grow and evolve. But the foundation is something like, there's no change. You want to be like, to make an impact on people's life. That's one of the other reason, really personally also, like, that made me to like stay, because that's my personal aspirations, like, making an impact. And what Fulcrum's intention, the founder's intention at that moment, it kind of, there is a synergy, right? Number one. Number two, also the thought leadership. You want to like, make an impact in what way? Like, we are technologists, like, we have a lot of passion for technology. I love technology. Like, then using a technology to solve, people's problem, right? For us, like, if you really look at it, we do a lot of business to business, solutions. Like, we help our customers to solve the business problems. So in through that, we are having an impact on our people's life. Some cases we are directly like also doing it with our culinary platform, some of like our own platforms, to directly touches like, our end customers. But those are the other important things: the purpose, the passion, that we want to be a thought leader, and that kind of like, driven inherent culture. How we, treat our people, how we treat our customer, what's like in a kind of commitment that we give to our customers and our people, right? I think that's, these are all some of the ingredients, like, helps you to like, to have a lot of synergy with the organization. Number one. At the same time, um, also there is a, since it's a growing company, obviously there is a exciting things to learn. Some of the journeys I talked about it, some of the areas I never worked in the past, like before I jumping in, because it's an opportunity. As long as you're like kind of willingness to take those opportunity, and also some amount of like, you need to take a risk as well, right? Some amount, because it's unknown territory. Yes, of course, like, you go with the great faith. I think that's how I usually do it. Some of the areas I never worked in the past, but I go with the great faith. I give my best shot. And then the equally, like, the organization structure and the mindset is also equally important, right? Otherwise, like, people don't take a chance. In Fulcrum, what I've witnessed all these years, like 21 years, we, understand, like, not everything is like what the risk that we are taking, it's gone in the all right direction. But even the important thing is how organizations behaves, or the leadership behaves during the failures, is what important, right? And
Yeah.
that's the one of the important things. I gone through, like, various different stages, and then at any circumstances, like, of course we do, like, a lot of open conversation and debate, spirited conversation. This is all part of the process. But never ever I've noticed that, like, it's a discourage, or you're taking the risk and you screw it up. Not that kind of conversation, because that is very important for people to, like, to take challenges, take risk, and continue to, like, evolve. Right. I think that's really given me a huge opportunity. For every stage of the Fulcrum's growth, I have an opportunity to learn something new. I think we I look at it, Fulcrum journey, like, 4 or 5. We are in the fifth phase of like a Fulcrum. The first stage one is predominantly, a tech player, focused a lot on, like, building technology solutions. The second, we moved into a building, like, many COA, center of excellence. Like, that is where the technology passion still drives us. We are so super excited about technology, so we build many COEs. And the third stage is like, yes, we have done good number of technology expertise and engagements, and we have a technology center of excellence. But we start narrowing down our focus on the domains, right? So that we understand technology, and also we have that deeper understanding about the business problem, the specific domain, so that we can able to bring a right side of solutions. And it can be done in much faster and better way. That's the reason we kind of narrow down our focus on 6 business domains. And that's a third stage. And the fourth one is about the platform. There are a lot of platform thinking, like, SaaS platforms, cloud engineering. There are a lot of like a new set of ways of, like, doing engineering work or solving a business problem using technology. So that is where we expanded ourselves or emerged ourselves into the platform and API economy. There's still we are a services company, but to form a digital transformation, the assets are equally important. And if you really look at that's a fourth stage now. We are in the fifth. We are getting more into the artificial intelligence, machine learning, the new ways of executing and solving a business problems, the speed and very hyper personalization and quantum computing. This is a very exciting phase that we are in right now. But if you look at all the past four stages, I have an opportunity to learn something new, and then that's kind of keep me going and excited about it. And then also give an opportunity to understand people a bit more and understand our customers' problem, challenges, business issues. So that kind of given us a lot of longevity because this historical data of our customer working with the 13, 15 years with the same customer, it gives lots and lots of knowledge and the deeper understanding about the cultural aspect of it, what works, what doesn't work. In the digital transformation space, it is not about the technology, it is about the culture, of the organization also equally important. We can't go on overnight change or from tomorrow onwards. We are going to be a Gen 2.0 company with all the digital side of it, right? It's a transformation that culture plays a key role. So I think these are some of the underlying characteristics or ideas that really helped us to learn more about it, and that's the same learning as a leader trying to provide that opportunity to for all the people. That is also linked with making an impact on people. The first thing is let's make an impact on people around us. That means our associates across the globe, our customers, our partners. They are the people around us. What else that we can do as a leader to positively impact and make their life better?
And I think that's a really important point. We talk about people buy from people, right? Brands and enterprises are hiring people and process versus hiring design and dev, or design and dev. There's some level of democratization, not standardization, but democratization and table stakes, right? How many shops do design and dev work? So what's the additional value add? And who are the people behind it, and what's the process there? You've mentioned longevity a few times, and I think you sort of glossed over something which I think is remarkable, which is having a client in the digital space for over 15 years is relatively unheard of as well. So you talk about longevity of leadership, longevity of personnel, longevity of clients, and you have this institutional knowledge of growth and sharing within the organization. One of the areas where I find it challenging sometimes when I look out across the digital landscape and see a lot of these startup technologies, which we work in a very young industry. Tech is young, as they say. And there are these brilliant founders and entrepreneurs who have a great idea and start sort of a platform or a SaaS or some kind of tech company. And they have this burn and churn mentality of just going all out and just burning everybody out. And then, they go and pitch. And sometimes I feel like there are no, for lack of a better term, there are no adults in the room. And it scares me when I see some of these startup techs out there. So I think that's an important, that sort of retention piece of both people and knowledge is really critical for success, because, we all learn from our mistakes. And we had a thoughtful conversation yesterday about if you're not continuously learning and taking those risks, how are you growing, personally and professionally? You talked about, and so, I guess to summarize, starting with one office in New Jersey and 10 people, Fulcrum, which you are now leading, is 12 global offices and 1,500 give or take folks, which is a pretty remarkable journey. You talked about coming in the software engineering space where it was a lot of custom work, probably .NET, Cold Fusion, ASP. That was sort of the outside of Amazon leading the way in terms of e-commerce and digital landscape. Everything was custom. There were no really commoditized platforms, and it was this sort of race to get some kind of digital property up and bring some sort of automation to your manual processes. So, where you started was everything was custom work, and that was a very nice place to be in the digital space. And then there was this sort of shift to more commoditized, off the shelf. And I recall being in my first agency, where we would often recommend to merchants and companies, hey, can you change your business processes to fit this out of the box, off the shelf piece of software? Because the total cost of ownership and the customizations, you may be better off just changing your business to fit it. And I remember when I ended up leaving, our CTO, who was a childhood friend of mine, he said to the day we were working on, Adobe, Magento, Shopify, BigCommerce on the commerce side. He said, if I had my way, we'd still build everything on Cold Fusion. That's what I'd love to see.
Right.
And now we've seen, I think, a shift back the other way, where businesses are saying, well, when we were early to market as a digital property, we were groundbreaking because no one else had it. But now everyone has some level of digital presence. And now it's moving back toward, I think, well, we don't want to conform to what's off the shelf and what's these custom modular plugins. We need the digital platform to actually conform to our business processes. So if you talk a little bit about what that shift has looked like from custom to commoditized to custom again.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, because it's a great transformation. I think we have an opportunity to see in our life, how it used to be very monolithic from mainframe days to where we are today. It's interesting journey, but the dynamics is kind of got changed a little bit. If you look at it, if we did a kind of a custom app, we used to build more automation, bringing the operational efficiency, a lot of initial application. I remember late 90s and things like that. It's more to do with the sales, then move into more workflow, knowledge base, then the communication sides. Then we start moving into commerce and the transactions. So kind of things evolved over a period of time. And then the interesting thing is a lot of things get commoditized, because if you're trying to do the same thing, let's take Fulcrum's journey too. Earlier they used to go and develop or implement platforms, as a more of a custom. Then as you implement more and more, then you start kind of creating your own utilities instead of doing 1,000 hours to do that particular platform implementation. You just go for next time only 500 labor hours, but remaining 500 hours comes from some of the utilities that you are written. I think that is the same journey has happened across out in the industry. In a lot of the commoditized applications and functions getting commoditized over a period of time. Then today no longer we are writing calendar applications or file load or Salesforce automation or any of those type of typical custom application. Those things are commoditized. One of the big shifters, they're custom to commoditize. And custom today, the customers are more of they're building the ecosystem of services or APIs all come together and solve a specific business problem, or giving in a seamless user journey. That is a big shift, in what I am seeing it. Today, if you take any applications or solutions, it consists of various different services or APIs. Some could be custom, that some could coming from your third party, some come from your partner. So you're basically architecting, putting together as a more of a composite architecture, where you're able to seamlessly connect and interact, and then ability to solve our customers' problems, right? I think that is a one big shift. And then certainly today's technology, cloud, cybersecurity, and the authentication, tokenization, a lot of this new tech, and then Amazon's and Azure's and cloud, Google Clouds of the capabilities or platforms are supporting or helping us to able to build this kind of a composite applications or architecture, right? It was not the case before, 15, 20 years ago. If you're using an API, we all know that how difficult it is. Like you have to go through the firewalls, like ability to establish the connections. It used to be like more difficult. Now it's more democratized. Like there are various tools and techniques that you can able to seamlessly like connect and build, and that's number one. Number two, I see it that a lot of like no code, low code or platform, more industry specific platforms or components are readily available. You're able to like plug and play, ability to build, drag and drop. The type of software engineering and the type of application engineering work that we used to do and what we are doing today, the dynamics of the approaches really change. It's your ability to pick, and then it's like a putting a puzzles together, right? Because they're all different puzzles. The pieces are out there. You need to put it together and make it happen. Or it's like a kind of a Lego, right? You put all the Lego pieces together and make the object out of it. I think that's one interesting shift. But again, the tools and technology, all the underlying infrastructure and capabilities, were helping us to develop these type of solutions. But I see a future is a very fascinating. Like I think the way I see things, every customers, every businesses want to be a platform companies, right, on their own merits, right? That means they would like to like own a certain type of IP digital assets, and then they would like to like ability to leverage certain assets that are like outside. They want to like have a control or ability to like make changes as their business changes or as their strategy changes. That's the reason every businesses of any industry wants to have a control over their digital assets.
Yeah.
That's another shift is happening. Certainly, like that's one things that we started seeing more and more from our customers as well. They want to be a platform company. They want to be a digital company, and certainly their core business is not changing, but the outlook of that business is going to be more on digital. That is where I see a big shift is happening, and that's a welcoming and interesting shift, and that's where Fulcrum and Fulcrum team is very well, aligned with that thought process. That's one reason you see our own set of IPs, blending those IPs and building solutions for our customers. Fulcrum One, our industry business platforms being used in many occasions to build solutions for our customer, even though it is specific to customer custom type of like applications, but because customers don't find right products out there in the market to meet their exact requirements, obviously they need to build it from the scratch. They don't want to build it from the scratch like 20 plus years ago. They leverage all the APIs, the no code, low code platforms, whatever like available in the market, so that like they can able to assemble these components together and build the solutions which kind of a tailor made to suit their needs. At the same time, they're able to like leverage all all the assets like in the cloud capabilities, the ability to like use API economy. So all this, the latest and the greatest abilities, they're able to bring it in. At the same time, the solution is custom or the tailor made for them.
The way that I simplify that when I explain, I oversimplify it, is Fulcrum One, which is sort of that accelerator base platform that is highly customizable. Is someone wants to make bread, but we have the dough for it. You don't have to make the dough from scratch. So you're already 60-70% of the way there, and then you just have to form it into the kind of bread you want. Again, I've oversimplified a very technical thing.
So I use this like the Lego, because the kids play the Legos. You have the Lego base plate, then you have all the components readily available.
That's a more applicable metaphor. So yeah, I like the Lego one, which we can get into a whole composite.
Absolutely, so that's a very very interesting and exciting topic. So like we can talk for an hour on that.
And I do want to get into artificial intelligence, machine learning, but before we get there, we had talked about a little bit, and I touched on sort of design and dev, and how everyone's got design and dev, and everyone can claim their design and dev are better, better, stronger, faster. And we talk about additional services, strategy, consulting, and one of the things that I've never really had experience with until coming here was outside of the design and dev. when you get into the cloud hosting, cloud infrastructure, cybersecurity, now that everyone has some level of digital presence and there's so much SaaS cloud hosted properties, the risk is greater than ever, right?
Yeah,
The risk.
it is.
And then when you've got, especially with these piecemeal platforms with, endless numbers of SaaS hosted plugins, who's responsible for this
Right.
security? Who's responsible for the PCI compliance? And that's an area where, I've gotten to know Vaibhav on our team, who's really a sharp guy when it comes to this. But can you talk a little bit about how cybersecurity has changed over the past several years, and why it's so important to have control over your digital assets, properties, and hostings?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the looking at all the data, how the cybersecurity or the security incidents have grown over the last 30 plus years. I'm sure we all are aware about it, but more and more, all transaction, commercial, your personal information, your any type of transaction, there is a digital footprint. I don't think in today's world is anything that we do, whether you interact with your local government or IRS, bank, you do anything, today from starting, morning till evening, there is some amount of a transaction which involves the digital. Then when that comes to digital, obviously there is always a good players, there are always there comes with some bad play too. So that is where the cyber security, the security become more than a cyber, the security as a whole become critical components of digital transformation, so that we recognize and realize early stage of Fulcrum itself. I would say 15 17 years ago, we sensed, hey, we have so much of the data. We happen to work with the healthcare company 15 17 years ago. It's your personal health information, the clinical data, all this stuff. So how do you secure, certainly you have everything firewall, everything is happening inside. You don't have but when they start exposing certain things to outside, then you just open up the door. It's no longer it's a covered wall. The wall has a hole in it, and obviously you need to let people to come, and you use various different techniques. But philosophically, that's what we sensed it, we need to start building anything that we build, that you put the this security by design type of mindset. It's easier to say that, bringing that practice, every developer's mindset. It is not just a one time, once a year training. You need to be continuously educating them, from what are you building, is it building have you thought about the security side of it? So for that, you need to have dedicated team. So that's why you talk about Vaibhav and Ramesh, all of these folks, we started putting, even the company was a much smaller 15 years ago. We put this mindset of a dedicated CISO, and then the data privacy officer. It took a while to build that mindset and the practice, having educating people, training them, going through the compliance and certification, bringing those setting up the controls. So I think that is a one important piece. And then when it comes to the same type of learnings and experience, we like to share it with our customers too. Some of them are definitely they have in-house capabilities and practices. Some of our customers needs more support, and then that's where we step in, share a lot of our learnings and experience. And then today, we don't do only this DevOps, Dev and Second Ops, right? We do the security as a part of our ops, right? When you do a design and development or implementation, when it goes to the ops. So obviously, the earlier, it's a pretty much teams focus on the dev and ops, but now few years ago we included the security as a part of our operations, right? In any systems, any deployment, any solutions or a platform where implementing it or making them live or supporting and enhancing it, the security also is a key part of those operations, right? I think that is that speaks quite a bit, in it, because we spent initial days an amount of time and energy and put these things right. I mean, there is no full stop over here. It's a continuous journey, right? We need to keep learning new things every single day, like new set of challenges comes in. So we need to like review that our controls, our mechanism, our tooling, and everything that has to be like up to date. So we're making like a significant time and energy and effort and also investment to ensure that like the security, it stays on top of like any design or application or platform or any platform that we implement. Those validation is done so that our customers data is safe and we comply with all the regulatory requirements.
It's interesting how often when you travel and look at advertisements, world's number one, world's best, this and that, and the number of times that I've seen within our industry ecosystem of full suite systems integration, the cybersecurity, the FinOps, the cloud infrastructure, that sort of never occurred to me, and I think it's something that very few folks have out there. So I think that's one of those compelling behind the scenes offerings that sort of augments that design and dev. So thank you for context.
Yeah, because the cloud is a very exciting because most of the time it's a very exciting. The early days, like 15 years ago, like get the systems are up and running, your infrastructure is up and running, because those days mainly like cloud is more on the computing side of it. You get the system up and running now from the computing into the platform. Now with the application, the software as a service, like everything is running on the cloud. Obviously, you have a operating cost of running those platforms, right? Obviously, like that's you're shifting from the capex to opex. The opex, it needs to be like managed, controlled, and optimized. That's where the FinOps is certainly like one of our expertise. Also, like over a period of time, we learned our own mistakes. Like when we are building our culinary suite platform, and it's being used by millions of using our platform, serving millions of meals in a day. Obviously, it has to scale based on the demand. So we certainly we learned our own way, and that of course we have done so many cloud-based and cloud-native application engineering and platform and cloud applications. Obviously, we have a lot of experience in terms of understanding the implications of the financial aspect of it. Because earlier when everything is in-house or on-prem, I don't think even being an engineer 20 plus years, we're not paid a lot of attention about how many IO calls we are making, right? But today, if any calls goes back and forth, it's cost a lot. So that level of optimization that needs to be done, but it's a continuous process. I'm not saying that it's a one-time job. So the FinOps linked with the cloud engineering, I'm sure it's going to go together for a long time. And then cyber and cybersecurity and data privacy, it's going to be super critical for every one of us. It is not just only for organization, but from everybody's in the digital space or the industry. It's going to be the critical aspect of any application that develop, or also the sustainability of any of our businesses also have a direct impact of our security and data privacy side of it. So we super careful and also conscious about the impact.
Yeah, and certainly the data privacy piece, as the GDPR and other global or local data restriction policies get rolled out. Legislation obviously always in the works. That's something to be very cognizant of on the data side of things.
Right.
Getting into the home stretch, the thing I am probably most excited about is artificial intelligence machine.
Wow.
This is something that obviously has exploded over the past several months with OpenAI's ChatGPT coming to market. And it's something that people can't stop talking about. And unlike a few other digital trends, when you think about blockchain or crypto or NFTs that are so abstract that most people don't even know where to start understanding those things, and some of them might be fads, AI and ML is no fad. It's something that we've collectively as a technical digital world been sort of waiting on and evolving. And I think back to Terminator, the movie coming out, and Skynet, and can you talk a little bit about? I know this is something that Fulcrum Digital has been rolling out and being sort of really leading the pack, I think, on the systems integration and digital agency side of things. But can you talk a little bit about what's going on in the AI ML world?
Yeah, this is one of the very exciting, time, and it's I can't wait to talk to you about the kind of things that we've been doing, and even before ChatGPT, kind of like been super excited like few years ago with all the machine learning, the AI kind of coming into the space, and we keep thinking about how it's going to like have an impact on our customers and the businesses, because we are in the business of like transforming digital transformation, and then how it's going to like accelerate some of the transformation. What are the exciting things that can bring in terms of predictability, decision making, and then processing large data volumes, and then getting some insights out of it. So those are some of the things really like excited us to get into it. And then along with that, we talked about this hyper personalization, like more and more the goods and services are going to get delivered, to your personal, highly like in a personalized way. So obviously to tie all those personal data connections, like all this stuff, it requires like good amount of computing and also a lot of amount of analysis. And then I think that is something like really kind of helped us to like go and look at it. Hey, this seems like very fascinating area. So but at the same time, we always looked at it from the though the technology is so exciting, it can do so many different things, but we always looked at it as a very practical way. That's the reason. I mean, a few years ago, I think about a late 2021 or early 2022, like we created a small AI team, artificial intelligence team, just like go and explore, like understand the gamut of like what is available in the space, and what are the things that we can do, and what is like where is the relevancy, what is it practical for our customers. So we looked at it more from that perspective. So though like we built our own set of like assets leveraging AI, but the deeper understanding about various different AI components, like it could be computer visioning, from the large language models. So various different components of the AI. But end of the day, AI is kind of like no, it won't be useful unless you have data. So we pay like a lot of attention about the data. Then when the data comes with the privacy, like that is another biggest concerns today, right? So we kind of looked at it all aspects of what is practical for our customers, what is practical for leveraging AI or infusing AI in solving our customers' problems. So that is where the last 1+ years we've been like focus a lot on kind of transforming the AI technology or the availability in the market, translating into a more practical way to like help our customers solving a problem, right? It could be setting up like the AI assessment or a consulting, what they're supposed to do, like because more than anything else we would like to advise customers like what to do with AI right now, what not to do,
Mhm.
right? It's more than what to do, but not to do also, because it's investment, also investment time, energy is also equally important. So our idea of like helping them to like getting the what is the right use cases, a business case to start with, helping them to like create a small pilot, or a picking up one or two business case, and leveraging AI to learn through it, because AI is going to like learn through the business problem the same way organization people also like go through the learning of bringing AI into it, how it is solving it, where it can be like leveraged. So this creates a very exciting the domino effects, like people after seeing like one or two kind of pilots, they started like leveraging, well, you know what, we can use this AI for solving this problem. So we are taking 10 days of like doing this one, bring, can we do something to do with AI? So we kind of looking at a lot of operational optimization, where it requires a lot of like computing, requires a lot of analysis and creating a predictability. And that's a one interesting area. So AI assessment, that we help them to like build the use case, and using and also executing these use cases using AI, and continuously learning, and institutionalizing and creating a kind of like internal center of excellence or AI innovation hub for our customers, so that like it can be continuously nurtured and it will be managed, and also putting the governance, helping them, which kind of information or what type of data can go outside of the network, because today you can't send everything to the chat GPT or a copilot and things like that. So you need to help them to educate them, govern them, and what stays inside, what can go outside, and then our approach has been always, infusing AI in business processes. Like now we when you're solving a business problem, where are the places that can practically we can infuse AI? It's a one area of our experience. Other one is there any new opportunities or revenue generating opportunities leveraging AI for our customers on market expansion, things like that. So it's a fascinating time, and then we have over a period of time we built our own framework where customer can like a Fulcrum One. On top of Fulcrum One, we built set of components that it helps accelerate adapting an AI to solve a business problem. So we are not just building it from the scratch or leveraging some third party, but we also bring some of the assets and our learning so that we can accelerate AI adoption within our customers space.
So, and that's, I think, really great insight. And, if I can sort of summarize what you're saying, AI it's broad. It can be intimidating. And for enterprises to undergo an artificial intelligence machine learning initiative, it may feel or seem daunting. And many folks are saying, well, where do I even start? You look at the work that went into something like the OpenAI and ChatGPT, years and years, and we talk about big data and what do we do with the data. Start small. You could pick one business use case.
Yeah, it is.
You take a sample set of data. You can run. You can build an algorithm, run the tests, and see if it works. Dip your toe in before diving in, as it were. You also
that is very important, Andrew, because most of our customers' data is with them. That data, it's in various different sources. Finding those sources, this is all within their network. There could be it's all the control networks. Obviously, that's a very important piece. They can't just simply expose to some third parties. That's one of the other biggest challenge. And the second one is many of our customers are operating under regulatory environments. So certainly, the explainable AI is also equally important. Why are you saying this way? Is there any discrimination about the decision making? So there could be insurance or a bank or payments, whatever the industry could be, or healthcare. So certainly, the how the AI predicts or producing the results need be some amount of explainable aspect of it, and then also the ethical side of it too. Mm-hmm. So there are the regulatory requirements are keep coming in, and I'm sure we're also big supporter of that. Some level of regulatory academicians or inventors, companies, regulators have to come together to create a more structure or framework and leveraging because it's a great innovation. It has got a huge potential. This technology can transform the way we are living. So obviously that requires some amount of regulatory side of it as well. So that's very important to start with small and then touch and feel and leveraging your the local data, and then look at it what are the controls or the governance you need to put together, and at the same time how we can further expand based on that learning to various different businesses, groups, or problems, or the systems. There are the huge potential because it is going to be staying for a long time. So obviously we need to put the strong foundation for our customers so that the technology can be used and leveraged to the fullest extent in a more safe and more robust way.
And I know we are running up against the top of the hour. I do want to get to a quick lightning round of a few questions.
Sure.
Before that, we do have a question from the audience from Amit Verniker. He's asking, how is Fulcrum using AI and ML for optimizing things like service lines, managed services? What are the use cases for bringing some automation into those processes to free people up to focus on higher value, higher impact items, whether it's within Fulcrum or that we could
So yeah, we actually identified about 8 to 10 use cases in ourselves also. But of course, along with the customer, some of the use cases what we are identify is also like applicable for our customers too. Like wherever there is like a mundane task, is there a way like automate those things, the service request using like artificial intelligence, like routing to the most efficient way of solving the problems, right? Somebody has already done this one. There is the expertise out there. The AI engine can predict and like route that request to a specific person to solve it, right? Rather than available agent. Typically like most of the times available agent, or you have the tree structure, decision tree to route the call or a request. That is one of the things. And the second one is also organization's knowledge, even though you have so many different repositories, so many different the knowledge bases are out there. So cohesively are collecting or getting their intelligence and to find the best solutions is still like rely on bunch of people, right? Because the information is like scattered all over the place, even though it is all connected. But that is the another area that we see getting a 360 view of that possible or information or solutions are out there to for people to factor those things in making decisions. We are basically assisting or bringing more relevant data points for the people to like make decisions. That is another exciting areas that like we work on. And also other part is like a lot of the compliance and comparables, right? Say you have the huge regulatory or the compliance requirements, but is that like such particular, for example, the policy or the insurance policies, or like some of the standard contracts, whether you have right compliance, because right now sometimes you manually go through, or you go through a keyword check, where there's a lot of different software to figure it out whether it comply with this particular policies or contract. But suddenly like AI could do a much better job in terms of scanning through last like 40 years of the data or 50 years of the data, like those type of like information. So I'm seeing like all these use cases that we built it for our internal, that can be like easily leverageable for outside as well.
So we were saying if you're approaching this the proper way and you're dipping your toe in, the long-term ROI on the short-term investment to get started with AI and machine learning, can be exponential. So
It is.
I know we're up against it. I'm gonna thank you for that, and thank you for the question, Amit. Quick lightning round. You travel a lot.
Yes, I do.
You're always running around the globe, whether it's visiting offices or visiting clients or prospects. What is your favorite airline?
Favorite airline?
This is global, so it doesn't need to be
Good.
just domestic.
Global. It was Singapore before, but now it's United because I travel a lot with United.
So I live in Charleston, and United has a hub here. And I have actually, for an airline that I used to, dare I say, loathe back in the early 2000s, they have won me back over. Not just because I've been flying it more, but they've actually really stepped up their game over the past few years. So I've been impressed. Next quick question is, what is your favorite vacation spot?
Favorite vacation spot?
You can give me top 2 or 3 if you want.
Top two or three.
Depends what
Okay.
mood you're in.
Certainly New Zealand is one,
Okay.
and I this part I've never been there. I need to go, like kind of the Himalayas,
Okay.
Mount Everest, and those areas, but not climbing. But those areas are pretty nice. But I never got a chance to go there in the recent days. And then also a place called Kodaikanal. This is another hill station in southern part of India, and also Orange Beach, Alabama. So usually like
Orange Beach, Alabama.
yeah, that's one of my quite
I have never heard of it.
yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's a quite like a sand beach area. That's like not too much of buzzing, right? It's a quiet area.
Okay. And last question, favorite hotel? You can go with hotel chain if you want to talk about large scale, or is there a specific hotel that you've been to that you think is your favorite? And these questions
Yeah,
change.
I think that the two chains I usually always like it. One, suddenly like I've been a member of Marriott for a long time, but also Taj in India. There is a You've been there, like
I
Mumbai,
was
right? That Taj, like
back in
it's one
January.
of my favorite
Yeah,
hotels.
it's gorgeous. Really, really, really beautiful. And like I said, I was fortunate enough, so thank you for inviting me there, and it was great to meet you. So we are up against the hour. Dhana, thank you so much. This has been Tipping Point. Again, I'm your host, Andrew Potkewitz. We've been lucky enough to have Dhana Kumarasamy as our guest, the CEO of Fulcrum Digital. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next week, as we always are, on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Dhana, thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy the conversation. Appreciate it.
Thanks.